for introductions, as technology advances, reshape industry, reshape markets, and redefine competitive advantage, it is not totally obvious who will win and who will lose, or what roles policymakers can play in cultivating sharing prosperity driven by the technology change. There is some degrees agreement concerning the potential wide-scale impact of new technology in both advanced and developing nations' economies. Positive and negative effects on the supply chains variables throughout the entity, a smooth return process in play, and efficient supply chains that is well connected and involve communications among Malaysia and other countries. When the supply chain surpasses the customer expectations, it is due to the efficiency. Increased supply chain management can put strain in the country and its capability as a cost and budget cuts are held flat or lower.
The term supply chain management practice refers to the entire sets of action taken by firms to increase the efficiency of their internal supply chain. Supply chain management practice are described as a series of activities carried out by a company to support effective supply chain management. Exploring examples of global supply chain best practice is the next step in gaining a better knowledge of them. Organizations will undoubtedly require technology to assist them in managing their workflow in the future. According to Forbes, 50% of business believe that technological advances have a significant impact on their operations. Thus, one of the practices that can be implemented to boost confidence among foreign investors is to utilize technology in the manufacturing industry. With so many various technologies available today, companies must not just embrace technology, but also understand how to use it to become more efficient and successful to maintain supply chain management best practice. For example, the Internet of Things (IoT) is a streamlined connection between numerous devices that improves visibility and connectivity while lowering expenses. For example, wearables and mobile devices. Wearables in particular offer solutions that enable a touchless supply chain. Other IoT also helps warehouse and logistic managers to keep track of goods and monitor equipment in a secure way. Other advantages are improved asset utilization, better customer service, streamlined inventory and supply availability, and safer and more reliable work conditions.
Managing supply chain as a network. Managing supply chain as a network can be practiced to implement in manufacturing industry in Malaysia to future-proof foreign investor confidence in Malaysia manufacturing industry. Create units and deal focused value proposition. Company invests in transactions rather than in countries. In addition to additional rewards, the government will present a unit value proportional to targeted investor. The best supply chain practice is to develop a collective strategy. This is the best way to interact with other countries to involve with Malaysia. It happened when people from different organizations with similar concerns work together to figure out how to approach certain issues. There are a win-win thinking, a state of heart and mind that is always looking for collective gains in all interpersonal contact. It donates benefits and thus defines agreement or solution Therefore, the open communication is the ability for everyone on equal conditions with a transparent relations between cost and pricing to get access and to share communications resource. On one level, provide value added service, on another level in a layer communication.
Mastering complexity can help foreign investors trust Malaysia's manufacturing business in the future. This is to monitor the supply chain. Controlling the supply chain take 5 steps. The first step is to rectify the underlying cases. The next step is Pareto analysis. And the second step, as a result of lower marketing and distribution costs, less common product can sell for a profit. Next, what about benefit and drawbacks of complexity? Finally, reduce any unnecessary complication. First step in determining the source of complexity is to examine the previously defined 8 category, which is a network, process, product, customer, supplier, organization, and data complexity. Maps can identify networks and process complexities. Simplifying a supply chain requires constantly streamlining its network and re-engineering its process. Pareto analysis can determine the customer and supplier complexity. This rationalization must take into account the larger corporate strategy and financial implication. Each product bills of material will reveal its complexity. Because of this, fewer components per product and more common components are assembled and platforms should be produced. The number of layers and decision-making structure all contribute to an organization complexity. We can reduce complexity by focusing on cross-functional collaboration, particularly through the process team. It's important to remember that not all complexity is a negative thing. Complexity allows organizations to differentiate themselves from competitors in certain way. Some argue that reducing supply chain complexity may actually increase risk and overzealous supplier rationalism program could cause a critical supply source to fail. Complicated systems should be simplified so that customer and supply chain are no longer hampered. The economy increased supply chain competition. Thus, implementing mastering complexity practice in Malaysia's manufacturing industry will boost foreign investor confidence. This is because Malaysian manufacturing industry has strong fundamentals, which means it can distinguish between good and bad complexity in systematic manner. Depending on the situation, a good complexity result in increased sale and volume that outpace increased cost. It also means the manufacturing companies in Malaysia have developed the ability to figure out what item and feature people are willing to pay for. The company can also put in place supply chain procedure and skills to successfully market those items at a profit. So that's all from me. Thank you.
As a conclusion, the influence of new technology will differ depending on the country and monetary industry. The utilized technology in the manufacturing business is therefore one of the techniques that may be adopted to improve trust among international investors. Next, handling the production process as a networking might be best method used in Malaysia's manufacturing sector. The very first task to address this problem is by determining the underlying reason of the problem. Last but not least, supply chain that strives to be simple and easy should be constantly optimizing and overhauling its network and operation.